Ranking current WWE heels. I'm Will. That's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers. Talk about some wrestling. Ha!
Yeah, we're going to give some top five, some honorable mentions. We like these top fives. We like doing them. We started with the heel one. Heels are more fun than faces, let's be honest.
For sure. I've always been a guy that hated that I love the bad guys.
You can't say that because you were a John Cena fan. You can't say that.
Oh, technically, he was a bad guy in every city he walked into. They booed the hell out of him. He was the bad guy. I mean, ECW, they said they were going to riot if he won.
And Chicago.
How is that the bad guy? Or how is that not the bad guy? That should be a video. Was Cena the bad guy the whole time?
Maybe that's one coming. maybe that's a video on the way, I guess.
Anyway, like he said, we're going to rank our top heels, current day heels right now. We're going to do it top five style. So we'll give our top five. Honorable mentions, though, come first.
Yes.
I'm going to go first on our honorable mentions because I'm going to get it out of the way. I'm going to just go ahead and say the Bloodline in general as my honorable mention. I don't think Solo is at that quite level for me to where I see Solo and I'm like, boo, I don't like that guy. The Bloodline in general, though, there's stock there. They've gotten their hands into multiple championship matches. They've screwed people, heelish actions like that. I just don't think, in my opinion, on a mic, do they succeed in being great heels. But their actions obviously are great. I got to give them my honorable mention spot.
Yeah, and for the record, we don't show each other our list beforehand. I had to put that out there because that's who's on my honorable mention. Kind of the same thing. I feel like this is like the default answer.
Yeah.
I feel like they have to kind of be on there, but they haven't done a good enough job, in my opinion, as good as these other five that I have listed to be putting ahead of that. But just kind of like the default thing. When you think of heels, you think of a faction like that, and it's pretty easy.
While we're here and we both have the same honorable mention, I'm just going to throw the Judgment Day into my honorable mention, too.
I was just thinking that, too, because I talked about a faction, and I did not put them on my list.
Yeah, I just... Overall, like the Judgment Day, I'm not talking about Finn, I'm not talking about Dom, I'm not talking about Liv, I'm not talking about JD, but like Judgment Day as a faction, same sort of thing here. If I had to rank them, say we had a 6 and 7 on our list, I would put Judgment Day above the Bloodline at the moment with their work, because I think that Finn is really starting to thrive, and I mean, so is Dom, and we may get to that later. But
and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I definitely would have put Judgment Day on my list had the Terror Twins not made them look so weak and small.
Yeah.
There was a point where I probably would have put them on this list and not really questioned it. But after the Terror Twins kind of started and that initial push for the Terror Twins was so much, I was like, oh.
I agree. Number 5, though, for me. I guess that's my music now to enter our top 5. It's like our Sami Zayn. Oh, no. Okay. Number 5, I am going to put Drew McIntyre. It's hard because at the beginning of their feud, say after Mania and stuff, it felt like we didn't really know who the bad guy was here. Is it CM Punk? Is it Drew McIntyre? Well, this guy did something shitty. Well, this guy did something shitty too. What am I supposed to do here?
Right.
But now that we're about to have our payoff Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood, I feel like they've firmly made it apparent that Drew McIntyre is the bad guy here, right? He wants to end careers. He's beating him up after matches and stuff, or still jumping him even after CM Punk said he was moved on. He's doing heelish stuff. Not to mention, I think that Drew McIntyre is doing his best in-ring work of all time on the mic, in the ring. I think that he's just really, really found his character, and he fits into this cocky Irishman badass role. Scottish, sorry.
How dare you?
Yeah, he literally is called the Scottish. Yeah. But you know what I mean? He just fits the role, and he's really shining, and he's just a dick.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that you talked about after Mania, there was some confusion on face heel. I think WWE might have honestly left that on purpose.
100%.
And they let the fans decide.
Yep.
And when the fans were so back behind CM Punk, they're like, all right, Drew, here you go. And Drew's really taking it and shine. I mean, like you said, best character work by far. I'm actually intrigued by Drew McIntyre. There was a time in Drew McIntyre's career, I mean, just 4 years ago, probably roughly 3 years ago. Obviously he got the win with the COVID Mania and stuff. Happy for him then. But there was a point where I was like, God, he just comes out with a sword, and that was it.
And he doesn't use the sword.
That was his whole character. So now, like, he actually has character to him, has some depth to him. Really like that. So yeah, can't go against that. My number 5, though, I have Chad Gable. I feel like Chad Gable continues to do great work. He obviously had the Alpha Academy stuff that he probably would have been a little bit higher on my list then. He's doing the stuff with the Wyatt Six. He's really making American Made important. I mean, you have the Creeds who are pretty good in the ring, but don't have the skills on the mic. You have Ivy Nile, kind of the same thing. So Chad's the one that kind of has to pick them up. And Chad's doing a great job. I still find myself loving every time he's on screen. He's got that charm about him, I guess, where it's like, yeah, you're a bad guy, but it's hard to hate you because you do stuff and it looks cool and you're pretty funny. But I feel like Chad Gable has to be on your list.
It's almost the exact same argument as the Drew McIntyre thing. It's like he's doing the best work of his career in this.
Yep.
Like it was like he was born for this. He just never got the chance to be this character. And now that they handed him the keys to the castle to do so, like he's just taken off with it.
Yep.
And it's so good. Mm-hmm. The Alpha Academy stuff, those three, when they first got together, it was like, okay, lower mid card, welcome Alpha Academy.
Yeah, jobber status type, yeah.
And it got to the point where it was like, hell yeah, Alpha Academy's on TV. Yeah. What's next? And that was 100% due to the Chad Gable stuff. I mean, Maxine and Otis are great too, and Tozawa, of course. But like, Chad Gable was the star of all of it. And then, of course, the Howdy stuff. And, of course, on top of all this that gets lost in the mix is that the dude is just a plus in-ring guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's just always money. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm completely with you. Chad Gable being your number 5. Hell yeah. Number 4. For me. Gunther. People are going to probably say that I jumped the gun on this one a little bit because his heel, he hasn't done anything physically heely. It's not like he's coming out beating up Sami Zayn. And during his Randy Orton feud, he came out and he was taking the RKOs, right? But I just think that there was this cocky, smug arrogance that just oozes from him in every way. And the way he's going out there and delivering these promos is just so perfect. The Bill Goldberg line, of course, making fun of family's history or Randy's family history, Sami Zayn not being on his level and treating him like absolute garbage. It just feels perfect to me. It's like the Rocky German villain on wrestling screen done so right. And then, of course, he's the most heelish in-ring guy there is, really. I mean, we're talking long holds, big chops, heavy hitting moves. Every guy that gets in the ring with them ends up bleeding from the chest. That's a great heel. That's part of being a great heel, and he does it better than anybody.
Yeah, and before people tear Will apart, yes, he said Rocky German. We know the Rocky villain Ivan Drago is from Russia. It is what it is. I get what you mean.
I'm married to a German, okay?
People might have said you jumped the gun.
Damn it. Got me on that one.
But, I might have jumped the gun even more than if that is the case. We'll stay tuned for that one. My number 4, I have Drew McIntyre.
Ooh.
For pretty much everything you listed when we talked about Drew, it's the best character work of his career. It's nice to see him firmly be the heel. He's already setting up, to me, for that next rivalry after the Punk one with Wade Barrett. And I don't know if there's anybody else on the roster I could say, hey, I would be excited for that. But I am. I'm excited to see Wade Barrett come back. Excited to see Drew McIntyre and how that all unfolds. But not much more to add. I feel like you have to have him on your top 5.
Yeah, I mean, these lists might go a little bit fast because there's really obvious great heel work, especially on one show, right? SmackDown really has some issues there.
That's one thing that I talked about or thought about when you mentioned Gunther at your 4 spot. You said you might have jumped the gun. I feel like the heels right now, there are some good ones that dominate, but at the same time, it's like you're either, in my opinion, a good heel, or you're kind of just down below, just kind of floundering around a little bit.
Well, now that we're that's a great point. Now that you're kind of sitting here with Drew McIntyre as well, and we're going back and forth about it, I'll just list my reason as to why I picked Gunther over Drew, and it's really not even Gunther's doing at all. The pairing of Gunther and Ludwig adds to the Gunther heel. Like that's part of him, his henchman. It's like adding, it's like his own little faction, I mean, obviously he had an Imperium there for a while until they kicked out Vinci, but like those two together is the reason I put him above McIntyre. But like you just said, McIntyre at your 4 spot, can't freaking go wrong there, man. I mean, he's we already said about it. But speaking of guys we've already talked about, number 3 for me, I put American Made / Chad Gable.
Sounds solid to me.
I can't say enough good things. We already did it, but I can't say enough good things about the man. And we always talk about it in our Raw reviews. how I always crack up the entire time he's on screen. He's literally like my funny bone on TV. When Chad Gable's on screen, I'm cracking up the entire time. I think it is the best stuff ever. I absolutely love his American Made. The recent American Made promos when they're like riding around in a Jeep with like bald eagles and stuff. It's like, this is fucking awesome. I absolutely love this. Yeah. Chad Gable is just the funniest dude. He's the best heel. He's the best heel.
It's just like outlandish humor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And talk about the perfect heel to go up against Howdy to make Howdy relevant right away. I mean, obviously Howdy is going to be relevant no matter what because it's Howdy, but like talk about the perfect pairing of heel and spooky face. That's Chad Gable's doing.
Yeah. Yeah. My number 3. I don't think he's going to be on your list because I have a feeling I know maybe who. Oh, I know who 1 is. I don't know who 2 is, but we'll see if he's on your list. Is a character that for a long time I was a fan of, and I was like, they need to give this guy something to do. They need to give this guy something to do. Well, they finally have. They're about a month and a half into it. Bronson Reed.
Is he a heel?
I would say so.
Okay.
I mean, he took out Seth Rollins. He just continually takes out people.
He's definitely the heel in the Jey Uso situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Damn, I didn't think of that.
Yeah. I mean,
Good
for me, he hasn't said anything, right? He's not going to come out there and he's not going to tear you apart on the mic. That's okay. I want to see him just continue to destroy people the way he's been doing. Seth Rollins, The Miz, Braun Strowman getting back at him, just that sort of thing. For me, the heel is somebody I want to watch when they're on screen, somebody that I need the attention. Every time he's on there, he's doing something impactful. He's tsunamiing people. He's putting them through tables. He's doing whatever he wants to do. He's throwing fans. I mean, it's just enjoyable stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm jealous that I didn't think about this. Yeah. It's one of those things where he's so over with the crowd still that you forget that he's a heel, in my opinion. It's like, you know, wherever he is, he could be saying the worst things about Jay's family, and then he's like, but are the dogs barking?
No, that's Braun Breaker. That's not Bronson Reed.
Oh, my God.
This guy doesn't know who's who. Look at this guy. This guy calls himself a wrestling fan.
I legit thought you were talking about Braun Breaker this whole time. You said Bronson Reed. Oh, my God.
You said the Jey Uso stuff, and I just said, yeah, okay, yeah.
Well, yeah, you let me right into it.
I didn't know what you were talking about.
The second you said yeah to that, I've just been in my whole head. I was sitting there like, damn, that's a good pick. I should have done it.
I mean, he is a good pick as well. But
no, Bronson Reed, yeah, 100%. Backing up there. Yeah, of course. Bronson Reed, in just a month and a half, has established himself as being like, the second he's on screen, your eyes widen. You're like, oh my God, what is he going to do next? Yeah. Tsunamis through tables, tsunamis through Seth Rollins' career. I mean, the car spot alone is an all-time Raw moment, in my opinion. Like, legitimately an all-time Raw moment where in 10 years when we're doing X Raw anniversary and they do the whole video recap of all this cool stuff, you're going to see Bronson Reed put Braun Strowman through a car. So not Braun Breaker, but Bronson Reed's pretty good pick for you.
I mean, Braun Breaker would have probably made the list, but for me, he is kind of like a tweener. Like, yeah, he's the heel side of things, but I enjoy watching him. You know what I mean?
Now you understand why I was sitting there thinking about it.
Well, when I said tsunami, Braun Breaker doesn't do a tsunami.
Well, I was half listening to you and I was half thinking, like, in my head, I was like, well, my argument here is that he's not really a heel because of how well he's received from the crowd, and the heel is supposed to make the crowd boo.
But on that note, I mean, a lot of people like Bronson Reed is the heel. He destroys people, but people like him because he destroys people. You know?
Yeah, no, I'm completely with you here. What number was that? That was number 3 for you, right? 3. Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I have no problem with that. Number 2, people ain't going to like this one from me.
Uh-oh.
He hasn't been on TV since SummerSlam, but I think that he is, without even really needing to try to be a heel, he just is the heel. Logan Paul.
Oh,
Logan Paul. I know he hasn't been on TV since SummerSlam, and this is a current list, but we all know that he's away because his wife is about to give birth, and so I'll give him the little leeway on that one. I mean, talk about a guy that just did everything wrong, and added to his absolute heel persona that he is just as a human. Yeah. I mean, you could talk about his YouTube past and whatever sketchy stuff he did there, but then he comes to WWE. He's immediately being put over all these other people who have worked their ass off for years and years and years. So in the eyes of the crowd, people are like, boo, you don't deserve this. And then he finally gets told to be a full heel. And he's sitting there not defending the championship, posting videos on Twitter during SmackDowns talking about how he doesn't need to be there because LA Knight doesn't matter and whoever else he's facing doesn't matter. I mean, he is the real life heel that just so happens to also be a WWE superstar. You don't get that often.
Yeah. I didn't put him on my list because you said, like you said, current, and he's away right now. But if he was on screen, well, even when he's not on screen, even when he's supposed to be, but if he was in storylines, I would have put him on my list. He's just made for the heel in WWE. He's perfect. I mean, he's got enough real life heat that people already hate you. You bring it into WWE, you double down. Now wrestling fans hate you. And he's got that smile, that punchable face. You're just like, God, I don't like you.
Well, and he's got the money and the woman and the big contract and the part-time schedule. It's like what do you throw in a pot to make a heel? Just throw all of Logan Paul's life in there and stir it up, and it's like, oh, look at that, you got yourself a heel.
So we talked about the smug smile. The smug smile of Gunther
Ooh,
is why I'm
2.
putting him number 2.
Wow.
It's probably early. I will give you guys that. But for me, I love a heel champion. Gunther is that heel champion, obviously. The character work, the charisma that he's had since being out of Imperium and since he won the title, since he got in that feud with Damian Priest, I've really enjoyed. I really think that it's almost like a JBL sense in terms of like character. Not obviously he's not coming out in limos. He's not coming out.
I can see it
with the bull with the whir. He's not doing all that stuff. But, yeah, so good, right? He should. Why not? But he's just so good. He's getting so much more comfortable on the mic, and he's actually like attacking the crowds now. He's going after the crowds and everything like that. So Gunther's kind of everything you said with him. I think he was like 4 on your list. I echo that. I mean, I enjoy seeing him in the ring, and the matches are slow, long matches. There's nothing you're going to see that excites you because he is that heel. That just adds to it for me.
I mean, here's the thing. He's been a heel for forever, really. I mean,
I don't think he's ever really been
his IC title run, he was a heel. He just didn't flat out look at the crowd and like call them bad things. And right. He was just a heel. So he does have years of prior heel activity to add into his heelish actions now. I mean, he deserves to be at the top of heel list. I would have no problem with anybody that says Gunther is the best heel in WWE right now. I really wouldn't. And then I also wouldn't have anybody saying that he's not even a top 5 guy because they don't really like his promos. I see everybody's angle here. I really do. But I think that we're on the same page of like good, smug heel champion saying mean things. It's classic WWE.
Yeah, it's just classic stuff. And for me, as I've gotten older, I think about like we are adults, right? We enjoy seeing Gunther. Children that are supposed to be watching WWE, Gunther comes out, they're gonna be like, God, I hate that guy.
Where's Sammy?
You know what I mean? Like that type of stuff. I feel like it does kind of have to play into the list a little bit, like how the whole crowd, not just like us, but how everybody perceives that person. And for a lot of people, they don't like Gunther. So
yep, 100%. Well, number 1, I feel like we're going to be on the same page here.
Yeah,
we got to be on the same page here.
When I started writing this list and we started doing it, this was the first name you wrote down. I put it in all caps.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
It's just easy.
The best heel in the WWE by far right now is Dominic Mysterio.
Yep.
It's not close. Nope. The man hasn't been able to speak on a mic without having to take minutes of just sitting there listening to the crowd boo him into oblivion for months. For years. It's been since at least before WrestleMania 39 when he faced Rey Mysterio. I mean, this guy is the perfect heel. And he's so good that on Impulsive, when they were talking about his turn with Liv Morgan, or it wasn't Impulsive, it was a different interview, but it doesn't matter. They were talking about his turn on Rhea with Liv Morgan. He goes, I was the first heel to ever turn heel. That's how good he is. And he's so right.
Yeah.
He went from being so hated to like the most hated ever.
Even more hated.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's my number 1. I feel like this is, you say that people could debate some of this stuff. I feel like this one is undebatable. I feel like there's no room to put anybody else at 1. The character work from Dom. We get to see that in-ring too a little bit, but it's also perfect with his character where it's like he gets in some offense, but then he's like that slimy, like cowardly heel. He's got that smug little smile on his face too when he leaves the ring. Him and Liv, and just adding that extra development as well. I can't talk, but that's added to it, better and better. I mean, Dom is, I don't even know how to describe it. it's one of the better heel runs and one of the better character 180s that I've seen in a while, because we talk about it every time when he's on TV. But Dom, like him and his dad, it was like, oh God, he's only here because of his dad. Is he going to be able to make it once him and Ray split? And then once him and Ray split and he low blows Edge, I mean, that's how long ago that started. He low blowed Edge at Clash, I believe, like the first Clash.
Yeah.
Which was years ago at this point. I mean, Edge isn't even with WWE anymore. And to see that change and to see that him come into his own has been just really phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. His whole bright outfit, I'm Rey Mysterio's son gimmick, that was bad. And it really was like, you can, even from day one though, you could see him when he was fighting in the ring. It was like, okay, there's something there. He's definitely his daddy's kid. Mm-hmm. And they even put him in the ring during the COVID era with Roman Reigns. Remember Roman picked him up and the famous scene of him throwing him out of the ring over the ropes and the camera cuts and it goes to commercial. But it was like, damn, they're shoving this kid down our throat and he's just a smiley face and bright clothing. What are we doing here? And then it clicked. And now we're at the point where it's like, I think the general audience, at least people, you know, the older population that watches wrestling that is past the whole little kid, I hate bad guy thing. Everybody's like, give this guy his flowers. We want to see him go for titles. We want to see him be legit in the ring. That would be his only downside to him, in my opinion, right now, is that it seems like he gets beat up a little bit too much for my liking. Yeah. But he is a heel, and that does happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, it now the custody match makes sense because dude feels like Eddie's kid at this point.
Yeah, and like you said, I understand like the sentiment of him not getting enough offense in, and we would like to see that as well. I think eventually maybe you do see that, and maybe he turns from like a cowardly heel to maybe he slowly turns into a different type of heel. The cowardly heel right now, it just works so well with that it's like when he does get his ass whooped, you're like, yeah, take that, Dom. I mean, not us, but
we're like, no, come on, Dom.
Come on, Dom. You're better than that.
Throw that man a nuggie. He needs some power ups.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and he gets to eat chicken nuggies and chicken tendies and play PS5. I mean,
well, that's the best part about it is that like he's being billed as like the character that just walks out. He's with the hot girl. He eats nuggets. He plays PlayStation. Like he's living the life is sort of what they bill him as. Like they book him that way, and it's like, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch.
Yeah,
like
you're going to do all this cool stuff.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he went from Rhea to Liv. Oh, you know, it's like, it's perfect.
Yeah,
he's the
and
best
I mean,
heel in the game.
Even when like Corey Graves was on Raw at times, he'd be like, oh, not a bad Monday night, because he just would walk out there with like Liv Morgan or whoever, and they'd kiss, and then they just go back, and it's like, oh, that's Dom's life. Like, lucky.
Just give that man some nuggies. Give that man some nuggies. Anyway, those were our top 5 current WWE heels. Let us know in the comments what you guys think, and don't argue Dom. He's number 1. Okay, no arguing, no arguing. Make yourself
maybe 1 through 5. You know,
he may be 1 through 5. You know, yeah. We'll just give it to him. Anyway, follow us on all of our socials at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod. Listen to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts at YouTube, Apple, Spotify, etc. And if you want to talk to us, come join our Discord. It is in the link tree in our bio. It's got all of our socials. Just go one by one and follow all of them. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Anyway, until next time, I'm Will. That's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast, and we will see you next time.